Okay, good people. Welcome and thank you for joining us for this sensitization webinar. We are looking forward to engaging with you. Some of you are already our members, but we know you have a lot of questions for Nema. We want to thank, of course, Dr. Ayub Masharia, who's the Director of Enforcement for EPR, for joining us on this call. And we hope that we'll be able to get as much clarity as we require for yourselves. I do encourage you to ask as many questions as you can. It might sound ridiculous, but it might help another entity. So please feel free. And you can even put it in the chat box. We'll be able to read it out for you. So without further ado, allow me to start the meeting. I am Joyce Gashugi Waweru. I am the Chief Executive Officer of the Packaging Producer Responsibility Organization. And today we are the co-conveners of this webinar. My team is also in the meeting, and I hope that they will put their names and their contacts in the chat. But we do want to allow Dr. Masharia to step in. I'll have him go first because I know he's doing some very critical work right now. Once he's done, then I will run you through the next half of the program. Dr. Masharia?
Yes, Joyce, I am.
Yes, the floor is yours. I'd like you
Here.
to just take the participants through the notice. I'll project that for you as well. And the two notices that you have issued. There will be some questions that will come in now. Before then, I talk about Pakpro.
Okay, Joyce, I didn't hear you, but allow me to say good afternoon to everybody.
Good afternoon.
Dr.
Yes,
Ayub.
I didn't hear what the task you gave me. Thank you.
So I would like you to take the participants through the notices. Both notices that you issued, but I would also like for you to maybe explain a little bit about what you expect producers to do, just so that there are points of clarity. I know during our engagement with a lot of them, there are very many questions that have been coming forth. So I hope that they will then now get a chance to ask these from you. And then I will come in to talk about Pakpro and our offering after you're done, so that we allow you to then go forward with what you're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Again, as you heard from Joyce, my name is Ayub Macharia. I work at Nema as the director in charge of enforcement. And from Nema side, you are aware that the Parliament passed the Sustainable Waste Management Act of 2022, which Section 13 made it mandatory for all producers to take care of their products and packaging at post-consumer level through an extended producer responsibility obligations, and requiring that the products and packaging should not pollute the environment in any way, and even the waste arising therefrom. Right now, as I speak, I'm outdoors. That is why I don't have a presentation. I'm on the banks of Nairobi River, looking at pollution by some of the packaging items. I see a lot of them here. In a special packaging, a lot of it is here. Now, this law became effective in July last year, and we wanted to develop regulations, and we have finished. They are at the Attorney General's office on external producer responsibility, but they have not been enacted yet. They are waiting signature by the minister, but everything is finished. But in the meantime, the law became effective last year, and we have been, everybody is expected to comply with the law. And so what Nema has done is to ask the producers to report on how what they have been doing to comply with Section 13 of the law. And we give guidelines on areas where the reporting should be done. And you are aware that we wanted you to report on 6 main areas, 12 areas, but in 6 main categories. One of them being we needed to know what is your product and what kind of volumes are you introducing into the environment. So there are three items. Three items, that is, who are you, which product, what volumes. And then there was another question on how can we identify your product in the environment. I'm sorry, there are trucks passing. That is why there is noise. So your identification, your tracking, how can your material be tracked? So that is one component about the product. Then definitely you give your product to the consumer, and it needs to be collected. So how are you collecting your product? Definitely that will entail the collection point, which is your collection point. And we knew that some of you use like supermarkets. You have those containers out there where the consumers can drop their packaging after use. So we wanted to formalize those, and we gave guidelines on how to start those collection points so that they are formalized. You know, waste should not be handled by anybody. It can be harmful to the environment, and we would like it to be handled appropriately. For that case, we also asked you to report on your collection points. We would like to know them. And in those collection points, the other thing that you need is there are those guys who are bringing their waste there. So they are supposed to be paid for collection service, for the service rendered to collect those items. So that was also another requirement. So how do you prove that you have a collection point? Of course, it needs to be established in the legal way. And the legal way is Nema should know that it will not just release those collected material to the environment. And in that case, we needed it to, depending on the size, it needed to go through some form of environmental impact assessment. The lower level environmental impact assessment is what we call the summary project report. Okay, so that requires an approval from NEMA. The approval, it could be an approval or an EIA license, either of the two. So that is at the collection point. And at the collection point also, we also need, since they will be established at the counties, then we needed to know what kind of framework you have with the counties. And you are also aware that the Sustainable Waste Management Act clearly states that all waste should be managed within the county boundaries, in the county boundaries. And so we don't have a national, the waste is no longer a national issue, it is a county issue. And so we would like all counties to participate, and that is why at the county level, we would like a work plan from each county to show that you are collecting your materials from the county level. And then that waste has to be transported. So who will transport your waste from the collection point to the processing or disposal facility? So we needed contracts with the transporters, and not only a contract with the truck. We also need a schedule. That is a plan on when are you collecting waste where. So you need to say at collection point number whatever, we will be there on Wednesday. At collection point, the other one will be there on Thursday. Like that. So that the collection points are not supposed to be for storage of waste. They are supposed to be areas where that material is collected so that it can be taken elsewhere in an appropriate manner. And then finally, where will your waste go? And we have 3 areas where the waste can go. It can either go to a recycler, it can also go to an incinerator, or it can go to a landfill. Okay, so we need that stated clearly. So that is what we requested for in our public notice number 1. And then still on that public notice, we gave you a deadline for submitting that report. We gave you 2 months. And this runs from 30th of October up to 30th of October. So that is when the notice, we will start now. We will release our teams to do enforcement. So that is about notice number 1. And we have started implementing that notice because we have started establishing a multi-agency team to help us with enforcement. And this multi-agency team comprises of Kenya Bureau of Standards, KRA, the private sector, that is KEPSA, CAM, Kenya National Chamber. And then we have, which is the other organization, and then Nema. I think we are 9 institutions. Because we will be exchanging data. What you report and what is in the other government records should tally. If you are a producer, already you are in Kenya Bureau of Standards database. So we expect everybody in KEPS database, you are a producer. So those in KEPS database on 30th, if you have not also reported to Nema on your EPR, then we will come to you for enforcement. And then from KRA, we are expecting that like the importers, they will be at the port at either KPA. KPA will also be a member, and also Kenya Airports Authority. So at their points, we are expecting that what you report there, once you bring your products to Kenya or when you want to access the market, you will be asked whether you have Nema, you have reported to Nema about your EPR obligation, because it's a legal requirement and it is mandatory. So that is how we are planning to enforce, and so we are at that level in terms of preparation. So we are waiting for you to report. Everybody must report as a producer, and that is why we said if you belong to a producer responsibility organization, then you only report on question 1, 2, 3, and 4. Where question 1 is who you are, what is your product, what are your volumes, which PRO do you belong to, and then what is your mark, the mark on your product. So once you do that, that can be done in 1 page. We have already received several producers have already reported. And then once you tell us which PRO you belong to, they will respond to all the other questions. And so that is how we are implementing that aspect. Secondly, I can also talk about the second notice. The second notice is about your products in the environment, because the law section 13 says that you have EPR obligations to ensure that your products do not pollute the environment or the waste arising therefrom. And some people have asked the question about what waste are we talking about? You have two types of waste. Your institution has two types of waste. One of the waste is what is produced within your boundaries. And in this regard, the waste produced within your boundaries, you are expected to hire an Nema licensed waste service provider to transport that waste from your facility to either of the three areas, either a recycler or an incinerator or the dump site for now. Although we don't want to use that name, they are supposed to be transitioned into landfills. Now, the other type of waste that you have is the one that is subject to EPR. The one for EPR is for the products that you introduce into the market. From your compound, you send your items to Mandera, to Muranga, to Nyeri, to Kisumu. That waste is still under your responsibility. And that is the one that is subject to EPR. And for that reason, you are supposed to either manage it at the individual level or you join up with others to make sure that it is managed, to make sure that it is not in the environment. And that is the basis of our second notice, that we would not like your items in the environment, and especially the rivers. We are focusing more on rivers because like now El Nino is coming, and when our river channels are blocked by packaging material and other products and packaging, then it will cause flooding in the country. And that is why, of course, it is notable that we gave the notice during this time of El Nino, but we could have given that notice earlier. But we want the program to be sustained, cleaning up the environment. And so what can you see from the implementation of our EPR? You note that the Kenyan EPR, we are focusing on making sure that our environment is clean. Actually, that is the main objective of the EPR. The environment should be clean. And that is why we would not like your products in the environment. Of course, as we continue, we will also focus on recycling, making sure that your products are recyclable. We will indulge you further on how much of your waste is recyclable and how you can improve on your product designs, making sure that you are also not using your products and packaging are not contaminated with toxic substances, but that will come later. For now, it is come together, make sure you have systems to make sure that you are not polluting the environment. And that is the whole essence of extended producer responsibility. I think I will stop there for now and respond to questions. Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you, Daktari. I can see the questions coming in. So my colleague Rosie will take this session, but because Martin's hand is up, I'll allow him to go first.
Thank you so much, Joyce. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can, but you could speak a little loud.
Okay. So this is Martin from Edible Oil. I just wanted to ask Dr. Ayub, because maybe I did not get the opportunity to participate during the promulgation of this law, during the public participation, but I wanted to ask a question concerning the packaging material. For example, we have packaging industries and we have the producer. So there is this industry that are manufacturing this packaging material, and then we have the packaging industries that are using the packaging material to package their goods. So is there a difference between the two in terms of, do we call the manufacturer of the packaging material the sole producer, then the packaging industry that uses the packaging material to package their products could be kind of called the consumer, so that this responsibility is given to the manufacturer of the packaging material? I hope that's clear.
Chair, did you get the, Dr. Mashara, did you get the question?
Joyce, I did not hear the questions.
Yes, I think he's trying to get clarity on the role of the converter vis-a-vis the brand owner who takes responsibility. Martins, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, now that's a good question. Sorry, I have some allergy to dust. About the converters, you realize that we are dealing with very many products in the that are in circulation. Some of them are not placed on the market. For instance, there could be some hotel somewhere which would like to give their customers water that is blended. And so you realize that for us to be able to track some of these products and packaging, we would require all the products, all the materials to be declared, but with a caveat that you tell us who has those products, who has those items, who placed them on the market, and which fraction was not placed in the market, so that we are able to triangulate that data to minimize leakage. For that reason, anybody who owns the product or packaging or even converters, they need to declare. And then so that now, because you cannot be in every county, you'd rather join a PRO, and then at PRO level, you just register, and then you pay maybe subscription fee, and then the PRO will help you in reporting that, but you not pay the EPR fee because you have not directly placed your items on the market. So that is my response. You are placed in the market, but not what do I call it? It has been placed more by others, while you also have others, like for hotels who are not members of the PRO because they are not producers. That's what I can say.
Martins, is that clear for you?
No, I just wanted one more clarity on the statement that is just said. Who should not now pay the PRO fee? Is it the converter or the brand owner?
So he has said both are responsible. However, the brand owner who puts the product in the market, the one whose product is on the shelves, that's the one who pays the EPR fees. Okay?
Okay, thank you. That's now
But
more
whoever,
clear. Thank
but
you.
even the converter, he must declare, which means they will still have to be members of a PRO or to declare directly to NEMA if they want to go the individual route.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Martin. Guppy, I see you have a question. We'll take yours before we read the ones in the chat.
Sure, thanks. Can you guys hear me?
Perfectly.
Perfect. So, Dr. Mishari, I have two questions, main ones. When it comes to a recycler such as T3, the regulations specify the need for contracting rather than membership. But some PROs ask us to become members of the PRO. So, is it possible for a single recycler to join and work with multiple PROs simultaneously? Or if, like, we're being pressurized to join a PRO, is that the only PRO we can work with? That's question number one. And question number two is determine the criteria for selecting recyclers to work with under the EPR framework. And what I mean to ask is, will there be a hierarchy based on the recycling facility's enhancement, such as distinguishing between recyclers, who primarily just crush and trade the plastic, as opposed to people like us who are going to produce food grade recycled products? So is sophistication of the recycler going to come into play to get access to the raw material? And to the EPR system, or how does that work?
Thank you, Guppy. Very nice questions. Chair, do I take another round before you answer that one? I know Guppies might be exclusive to recyclers and also very useful. Oh, Chair, you didn't hear her. You didn't hear her?
Please ask the question again. Joyce, your voice is good, but the other one
You
was
didn't
too
hear
low.
Guppies. Okay.
Yes.
So Guppy has asked some very valid questions. One is, of course, and Guppy, you can add to what I might forget. One, she wants to find out if it is a requirement for a recycler to join a PRO as a member. She says
For a
that
recycler?
to join a PRO, to join a PRO.
A recycler?
Yes, to join a PRO.
No.
Yes. And then number two.
Let me answer that one first.
Yes. Answer.
Because
Can I chip in? I don't know. Dr.
sound
Misharia,
is
can
too
you hear
low.
me?
Your sounds are too low. So I need to go slowly. The recycler is not expected to join a PRO, but the recycler should be contracted by the PRO to manage the items that are brought to him or her. However, if they also produce something and place it in the market, then they become producers. Thank you.
Joyce, can you just highlight to him that a lot of PROs we are talking to are saying that we must become members? And in that case, can one recycler be a member of multiple PROs? That was the main question, because I know according to the law, you need to be contracted as a recycler. But then in that case, we can only get the benefit if we are a member. Are we allowed to be members of multiple PROs?
Well,
Daktari, did you hear that?
yes. I had if the recycler needs to be a member of a PRO. Well, if that is if they want, the government has no control of who is the other person who becomes a member of the PRO. But by law, the recyclers are not supposed to be members of the PRO unless there is something that they are injecting into the market.
Okay.
But now, if they decide to be participating in their meetings, where decisions are made, they could do that. That is, if the producers agree. You know, the company is by law, it is supposed to be a company for the producers. So there, it is the members who will decide on who they want to admit. Thank you.
Thanks. And the second question was, how will the PRO determine the criteria for selecting the recycler to work with under the EPR framework? So is there going to be a hierarchy based on the recycling facility's advancement? How does an actual recycler determine themselves away from someone who just wants to buy the plastic and export it, or, you know, just crush it and send it to Asian countries, as opposed to someone like us who is going to be producing food grade recycled products? Joyce, maybe
Daktari,
you...
did you hear? Daktari,
Yeah.
did you hear that question? Dr. Masharia? So Gupi, I think we've lost him, maybe.
No, just I can hear you, but I did not hear
Excellent.
the question.
Okay, Guppy wants to find out whether there's a
Yes.
criteria for a hierarchy-based system for contracting recyclers, such that recyclers, for instance, in the PET sector, who are just collecting bottles, crushing and exporting to Asia or other markets, would they be held at the same, level for contracting as, for instance, themselves, T3, who are looking to convert PET bottles, for instance, into food grade material, resin?
Okay, that's a very good question. I think the primary, concern is waste is removed from the environment. That is the primary focus. And so, as to what happens at the processing stage, if our waste can be exported in form of flakes, then depending on the understanding between the PRO and the recycler, then it's okay. Any can go. You can either flake it and export, or go to bottle, but that is totally at the discretion of the PRO and the recycler. I think from our side, what our focus area is that the producer has ensured that their waste is not in the environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Daktari. I think to add to Gupi's question, and from where I sit at Pakpro, for us, there's definitely a hierarchy, which means those who are converting into more circular end-use products or closer to end-use products would definitely get higher support, as opposed to those who are just, for instance, crushing to export or for more linear processes. So as Dr. Ayub says, there's really no criteria given to us by Nema, but internally through our board, the policy is to reward those that are producing more circular, more local, get the full benefit, and then those who are then now more linear, more outward looking, it definitely goes down that way. So that would be our hierarchy, Gupri. And for us, we don't require for recyclers to be members. The reason for that is because we want to avoid a conflict of interest, unless, of course, as Dr. Masharia said, they are introducing a fully converted product into the market.
Thanks.
So
Thanks,
Gupi, I hope that helps. Excellent. So I'll take Evelyn or Alon, then Paul.
Hello? Am I
We can
audible?
hear you. Yes, you are.
Okay, thanks. So my question is, I need some clarity as far as the life cycle of the materials are concerned. For example, if I release the products into the market, which is the glass bottle, I'm supposed to declare my volumes to Pakpro. What about whoever supplies me with the glass bottle? What is their role in this? What declaration are they supposed to do to whichever PRO to Nema? And does that then bring us to double accountability of the same material, or how does it go?
Daktari, did you hear Evelyn's question?
Jace, you are my interpreter.
Yes.
Please
So
guide
Evelyn
me.
wants
I
to
didn't
find,
hear. The
yes,
volume is low.
Evelyn wants to find out in a situation
Yes.
where, for instance, she's buying a glass bottle from a converter, and then she packages it and puts it in the market. However, both of them are, within
I
paying a
can't hear
fee.
you, Joyce.
You can't hear me? Can you hear me
I can't
now?
hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Try.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Try to
You
speak
can't hear
louder.
me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So Evelyn is asking, in a situation where she has bought a glass bottle, for instance, from
Yes.
her converter or manufacturer for that, in that regard, and then she brands it, puts it on the shelf. Okay. Yet PROs, we are requiring both institutions to become members of the PRO. Isn't that double counting? She asks.
Thank you. That's a very good question. That is why we said for us to avoid double counting, then we need the converter. The converter is the one who is to he or she must get him or herself out by telling us who did you sell your bottle to, so that the product is put in and then placed on the market. The whole idea is we need to avoid leakage. And so at the PRO level, we don't expect the converter to be charged EPR fee for something that they are not responsible for, especially those items that they sold to other producers. So that is the whole essence of declaration. But there should be no double counting. Thank you.
It's not clear to me, Joyce, because when a converter supplies me with the material, they're in business, they've sent it to me. And then I've done my packaging and I've taken it to the market. How comes they're not responsible? How? That logic is not really coming out clear for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I can just chime in. So we have a challenge in our market, and the challenge is we have converters who are selling to a lot of entities. Some are legally registered, others are not. Okay.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, the converter, once they sell you their product, there's no guarantee on their end to identify or to know whether you've actually put that product to market. Number one, you could have had losses in the factories. You could have had returns. Once you have put the product, then it comes back to you for one reason or another. So they're not able to track and trace. And that's why when the law was being developed, the onus of responsibility was actually put on the brand owner, because they are the ones in contact with the consumer at the market level. The converter really isn't in contact with at the market level. And so you find in our case, for instance, as Pakpro, we do not charge EPR fees to the converter. It's purely on the brand owner to be able to make those declarations, such that, for instance, in an instance where you have put product into market and maybe you have returns, you will be able to come back to us and claim a credit note. So we are able to issue. But you can imagine if it was a converter, they are not able to track and trace, which means they would have actually paid for volume that was not even consumed in the market, and probably the product was disposed of in a different way. So to avoid that, it was deemed that it's better to monitor this particular system at the brand owner level. I hope, Evelyn, that helps a bit.
Yeah, so in your form as Pakpro, I've seen there is a section which when somebody is to section of membership category, then there's the special producers who are the category 1, the converters of raw materials. So
Yes.
in this case, the converters of my glass will fall under that category 1.
Yes, yes. Your converters are the ones who, yes.
And if they do, what fee, I mean, the fee they pay to Pakpro is for what now?
It's a membership fee. Yes, it's a membership fee. So there's no EPR fee for them. And that's why if you look at our rates, you'll find they pay slightly higher fees compared to the brand owner as a membership fee.
Okay.
Yes.
So they are supposed to be members simply because they are the ones starting the process, the supply chain process.
Correct. And we are encouraging all brand owners to make sure that they actually have their converters become members of a PRO. Okay, largely because Nema will also be requiring them to make declarations to them about what they are putting in the market. Now, I would like to clarify, because for some of you, you do convert, but you convert for yourselves, okay? You do not sell to the external market. Basically, you don't have customers outside of your business. Yes. In that case, for us, we are not actually charging the converter a fee.
You are aware they're supposed to be
okay? Because 100% declaration will be made from your brand owner level. So in that case, we do not charge you as a converter. We'll charge you exclusively as a producer who is a brand owner. To avoid double counting or to avoid paying for membership for product that is actually already will be accounted for by the brand owner.
According to Toet,
and Joyce,
yes.
Jadida, could you please mute yourself?
I've muted her.
Okay. So in the event again that for us we've got imports that exports, sorry, that we do.
Yes.
So we will buy our materials from the converters, we bring it in, then some go to the local and some go to the export market. Do we need to account for the export market as well?
No. Our jurisdiction is only the boundary of Kenya. So whatever you export is not within our jurisdiction, and it shouldn't also be declared locally.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I have so many questions.
It's okay. It's okay, Evelyn.
I was just thinking aloud now. We've got the converters, and some of them are using reusable materials to make the packaging that they give to us, like the glass. So in their declaration, are they supposed to declare the percentage reusable material?
Yes. Because in our case, you only pay for the virgin material. We do not charge you for the recycled content. So for instance, let's say for paper, you have a carton box and 50% of that carton box is made from recycled content. You'll only pay us 50% for the other virgin material. We don't want 100%. And the reason we are doing this is to encourage circularity, for more people to start using recycled content.
Okay. So it is upon us as the brand owners to get the details from our converters of the percentages of the reusables that are that are used in the material.
Correct. Very important.
Okay.
Joyce?
Yes, Dr. Shroff. Evelyn, I hope you're done.
I'm done. Thank you.
Yes, Joyce, I have a question. With your kind permission.
Yes, Dr. Shroff. To Dr. Macharia?
Yes, to Dr. Ayub Macharia.
Okay,
After
proceed.
hearing various points of views, and the Q&A, my only question to Dr. Macharia would be that in this case, what would be the sole responsibility and the primary role which a brand owner wants to take? Or in other words, what is Nema expecting a brand owner to take up the responsibilities, primary responsibilities, and be accountable for? I submit, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shroff. Dr. Macharia, did you hear that question?
Yes, I heard.
Okay.
Yes. So, so what is the responsibility of the blood donor? I think the blood donor has the ultimate responsibility of the products that are out there, because he's the one who is seen. However, we, for example, if there is, let me use the example of a hotel. A hotel is has a bottle which was bottled by a certain company. So it is the hotel, although it has that label, the label is there. The hotel is not the producer. They did not place it on the market. They just bought. They are just a consumer, and so they are not responsible. Rather, the brand donor is the one who is responsible for managing that waste. I hope I've answered the question.
Yes, Dr. Shroff?
Yes, Dr. Macharia. Yes, Joyce. I'm satisfied with the answer.
Okay, thank you very much. Pauline,
You're welcome.
sorry, I let Dr. Shroff go ahead. Please go ahead, Pauline.
Sorry, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Our question is about, we normally renew our plastic bag license at least after it has expired. And I can see that you also be covering the plastic bags as well. So what we wanted to understand is, when we are doing the renewal, we are supposed to declare the take back mechanism that we had done in the period that we had the previous license. So when renewing right now, what are we going to do? Are we going to say that we are a member of a PRO? That's why we are not doing the take back mechanism anymore.
Dr. Macharia?
Yes, I can respond to that. At least
Yes.
now I'm at a better place. Now I can hear you very well. I'm out of the field now, so I can now participate actively.
Excellent.
I think that question about our approval to use the polythene bag, the approval still remains, because why the approval is there is because polythene bags are banned in Kenya. They should not be used. But because primary packaging in Kenya, we have not gotten alternatives, then we are allowing continued use of the polythene bags, but under restriction through that approval. And for you to get the approval, of course, there are those declarations that you have to do. And one of the requirements was that you must be a member of a PRO. And so that has not changed. You will present the same, the reporting system is the same. Maybe a repetition, but it is the same. I don't think you are subjected to any new.
So that means,
yes,
that now the issue of take back mechanism has not been transferred to the PRO.
No, the take back now is transferred to the PRO.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, yes.
Excellent. So, Dr. Macharia, allow me to just run through. There are some few questions that have been put in the chat. I'll start with Kilan, he's asked, if you make consumer items like plastic buckets, how do we take it back? It's sold in Kisumu, we are in Mombasa. What if we sell to a wholesaler in Mombasa and he re-wholesales to a customer of his in Isiolo?
Yeah, that's a good one. Wholesalers are not producers. So the responsibility lies on the producer. Who is that person who has the who placed that bucket in the market in the first instance? So if you look at even our law, the way we defined even in the notice, the wholesalers were not there in the as definition of producers, because they're just a conduit. They're just one level in the value chain, but they are not the producers. So at the end of the day, it is the person who produced through manufacturing, through importation, who is solely responsible. The same case with like refilling, who refilled, for example, who repackaged. You know, it's not about the distributor. Okay, so that is how the law is being interpreted. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Macharia. I concur with you on that. The person who puts the product in the market, who produces it, in that case of like buckets, is the one who is responsible. Kilan, I hope that is clear. You can let us know if that's clear for you. Kelvin from Upfield is asking, when you say that the waste must be handled and disposed of within the county boundaries, does this mean that the PRO will have to have a waste management plant in every county?
Now, ideally, Joyce, we are supposed to have those waste management facilities in every county. Yes. But this is not possible.
Yes.
And so for that reason, even in the law, it is prescribed that the minister we are supposed to make a framework of inter-county movement of items. For now, that is why I talked about the multi-agency. The COG, the Council of Governors, is part of our members, so that if there are any handicaps in movement of materials from county to county, we can address it at that level, so that there is no restriction, because we understand that most of the recyclers are based here within the metropolis of Nairobi.
Thank you. That is clear. Clement Morenge from Colgate Palmolive is asking, besides product branding, do you need any other identification mark on the product? Clement, I would also like you maybe to clarify, to expound a little bit on that. Do you mean a recycling identification mark, or what identification mark are you talking about? Clement? I think he dropped off. Benoit, are you able to
let me talk about that one.
Okay.
The tracking.
Okay.
You see, we have so many items that are in the market, and we would like to know if it is a packet of maybe a bottle of honey. How have you marked your item to be different from others? Of course, we are aware that there could be some, if you remove some, we are insisting on like the labels should be done in such a way that they can come out quickly, so that the bottle can be recycled. So we may have a challenge there in terms of some bottles may not be marked, but we expect everybody to tell us what label is there in your bottle? How can we identify your product? We would also require you that when you go to the to those people who make the bottle for you, we insist that they also tell us what kind of bottle is that, because there is also the aspect of recycling that we are doing. So they need to write on the bottle that this is PP, this is PET, this is styrofoam, to make it easy even for sorting. Because at the end of the day, you'll also be required to state how are you paying for recovery for the waste collection service. So how will you pay that? You will pay based on the material. If it is PET, the recovery fee, the collection fee is this much, which may be different from the one for HDP. So therefore, in that case, marking your packaging properly is important, because it even makes it easy for the collection points to be able to pay out to those who bring the bottles for compensation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ari. Now there's another question. Gladys Wanjau is asking about the fourth requirement of the EPR notice for Section 13 compliance. I'll project that. She says it's not very clear to her. What exactly should we submit? I would also like to tie that in with the question that Alex has also asked from Githongori Davies. Where should producers submit, and how should they submit this? Is there a template, etc.?
So where do we submit? Excuse me. So incidentally, sorry, I have some allergy.
Sorry.
Incidentally, the submissions are to be done to Nema, mainly through hard copy. One can also do soft copy because we can easily download, but I've seen some of the people who are bringing their products here, especially to show us how they are complying with the fourth requirement. Some of them are bringing to us the real packaging, the real item, which is easy for some items. For some others, it may not be possible. So we may get the pictures. So I think we have provided even the emails. You can submit either way. You can submit by soft or hard copy. And then we will, what we intend to do is we have agreed that we will process the submissions as they come, and we will also avail the same information online so that it is easy for you to see whether you have submitted or not. And online, we have captured 4 fields that we want to present to the public. Field number 1 is the name of your company. Then field number 2 is what product. Number 3 is which PRO you belong to. And we also hope that once the PRO submit their report to Nema, we will also make it public, the compensation. That is how much is being paid to the for collection service for each product. The data on volumes, that is more private. We will retain it as confidential. But the information in the 4 areas, we intend to make it public. That way, everybody will know whether your submission reached Nema. We are also intending to give you an acknowledgement that we have also received your reporting. Why this is important is because, like I said, for importers, you may find yourself blocked at the port of entry, at the port, if you're bringing your product, being asked whether you have reported to Nema. And in that case, therefore, the acknowledgement document that you get from Nema for reporting will be very important for submission at the port, so that you can be allowed to place your products in Kenya. Thank you.
Gladys, I hope that's clear.
Yeah, it's clear. Thank you.
Pauline, you have a question?
Yes, I'm with my colleague, Mr. Nicholas, who would like to ask a question.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My concern is majorly about alignment of this information we are sharing, because we are all, some of us, we are bottlers, some of us, we are within the manufacturing sector. Part of the information we are giving out, it is in line with data protection. This information is very high level. Okay, so we are giving the volumes, we are giving a lot of this data. What is the position that we're actually getting in terms of the sensitivity, or the, you know what I mean, in terms of volumes that we're giving? We're telling you about the grams, the volumes that we're giving, protecting this data against competition.
Thank you, Nicholas.
I think I've explained, Joyce, that the issue of volumes is not public.
Yes.
It is private, and so
retained at the PRO level.
No, even here we are receiving that information, because question 1 talks about also the volumes. So we don't intend to share that information out, and so I have given you the fields that we are sharing. Only the name of the company, the product, the PRO you belong to, compensation service, and then we will acknowledge. Otherwise, we are not giving the public anything more than that. The rest is.
I think Nicholas is wondering or worried about how safe is this data in the hands of either the PRO or within Nema. Nicholas, is that right?
That's right.
I think from the Nema side, it will be kept just like the other data that you always provide. You are aware that you provide us with the information. You always give us information about your audits and where you report on these volumes. So I can say it is safe, but we will. We must also comply with the data protection law.
Yes.
Thank you.
And so for us as a PRO, Nicholas, maybe I can add that one, we are registered as a data controller with the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, which means there are some things we also have to do. We have now, we are currently onboarding a specialist to help us with data by design, to ensure that we put in place utmost data privacy policies, systems, and structures, just so that we ensure there's no situation where there's leakage. In the interim right now, within our own organization, we only have 3 people that have access to that data. Even the board doesn't have access to that data. And from my experience for the last 5 years, we've been able to maintain that level of secrecy, but we are definitely looking to improve, and hence why we are now onboarding a data specialist for this.
Okay.
So Isaac, let me give Isaac a chance. Evelyn, then I come back to you.
Hi, good afternoon, Joyce, and to Dr. Masharia. My question will go to is talk about 9 agencies which are they are working with. So the question is still about data sharing. How, in terms of if they're able to share data for a specific company to another agency, if that is a possibility. Joyce, did you get my question?
No, please ask it again, Isaac.
Yes, my question is in regards to data sharing. Dr. Masharia talked about they're working with about 9 agencies in this
Yes.
scope. And the question is now, will they be able to share their data that they have with other agencies, like any other, talk about KEBS, talk about many other agencies there. So is that a possibility of them sharing data with other agencies?
Okay. Dr. Masharia?
I think ours is our multi-agency team is to help us with enforcement. And in this regard, actually, what we are in, we are the ones who need them more. We need data from them more than they need from us, because like for KEBS, we will need data on their companies. We would like to know who is in their database. And then for KRA, we will need we will need data on the what are these volumes, that so that we are able to corroborate. So for KRA, we are not just asking for data. We are going there to verify the volumes that that you have told us, so that at the end of the day, Nema is supposed to inform the country where are we in terms of waste management. What are the volumes of products introduced? How are they managed? How much are we able to recycle? So we need the two companies, the two institutions for more for verification. But the data, our data is will be held in Nema, and so Nema is the one to handle the data. The multi-agency team is not dealing with the data matters, but they are helping us with like the private sector, CAM, KEPSA, and the Kenya National Chamber. They are expected to bring to the table the concerns from the private sector side. Whereas we are not going to share data with them. They are more of policy issues. Policy issues are the ones that will be dealt with at this multi-agency level. But for data, that is a Nema matter. Thank you.
Isaac, is that clear?
Yes, Joyce, that is clear. I think he has explained it well in terms of data sharing. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll let Evelyn go, then I pick a question from the chat after that. Evelyn.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Hello? Yes, good.
Yes, you
so
are.
My,
Yes,
my
you are.
question is still to Dr. Masharia. In terms of data protection, oftenly there is the conversation of data being safe, and as he has explained, so will NEMA be able to accept the non-disclosure forms from the organizations, which then they need to fail to legally bind what we give them from our organizations? Because a lot of sensitive data will come out, as you know, Joyce, that will then go to NEMA and the rest. So for Pakpro, of course, we know you've got the non-disclosure stuff, you've got all those things already laid down, but I'm not sure at NEMA point, are all those structures in place up to including the aspects of signing the non-disclosure agreements with the organizations?
That's a good one. Dr. Masharia? Dr. Macharia?
I will find, thank you for the good question. I will find out from our offices that handle other aspects such as environmental audits and environmental impact assessments. Yes. to see how they handle data, but I pick the concern about the signing of that document. Thank you.
Yeah, that's actually a very good question, Evelyn. Mary, I had seen your question, your hand up. Could I pick you before I pick Dr. Shaw?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Joyce and Daktari. If you can hear me, I just wanted to confirm, and maybe it escaped me, because under the notice 1, where the producers are supposed to do a bit of the declaration, we spoke about the 4 items. Is this done on a monthly basis, or this is a one-off for the year?
Very good question.
Yes.
This is the beginning, and we have done it after 1 year. And we hope that in the course of the year, we'll have the regulations, which will give further guidance on how to report. Of course, it will not be monthly. Like now, we expect that you report on the year. What have you gotten since? What have you placed in the market for the last 1 year? And so it may be annual, but we are hoping that the regulations will be out soon to further clarify on the frequency of reporting. Thank you.
Thank you, Daktari. Maybe just for clarity, if I do the declaration, for example, at the end of September, will I be declaring the volumes of Jan to September of this year, or I'm looking at the 2022 data in terms of volumes?
Actually, the volumes we expect to be dated. The financial year of the government runs from July to June. So that is what we expected you to report on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mary. Mary, I know you have another question in the chat, but let me give a chance to Dr. Shroff, then I come back to you. Dr. Shroff?
Thank you very much, Joyce. Thank you. Dr. Macharia, good afternoon once again. I have one pointed question. What measures Nema has taken to desist and identify joyriders as against people who are law-abiding, industries who are law-abiding, with respect to any particular symbol or with respect to any particular signage on the label of those scrupulous and law-abiding industries which have joined the PRO? Meaning, how do we know when we pick up a product from the supermarket shelf whether that particular product belonging to a particular industry who has produced that particular product is complying with the EPR regulations, number 1, and number 2, is already a member of a recognized and esteemed PRO? I submit, Joyce. Very keen to hear you, Dr. Macharia. Over to you.
Thank you. I think this has been a major area of concern, the issue of joyriders. And how Kenya is dealing with that is we expect to deal with that through the multi-agency team, where we will validate the companies that report. We will validate them using the database from KEBS, because for you to have your product in the market. Normally, KEBS has that database. And so we expect that we will go through the database from KEBS and compare it with ours. And anybody who has not reported to Nema, then enforcement action will be taken against that person. So how do we prove that you belong to a credible PRO? Definitely, one of the conditions is you're supposed to state which PRO you belong to. And in stating, you also bring a copy of some valid document that shows has been given by the PRO. We also, like I have said, we expect to also publish that information on our website. Of course, minus your volumes. We don't want to publish the volumes. That is secret. But the PRO you belong to, we will announce it on our website so that everybody, the PROs can also can counter check whether anybody is cheating. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Shroff, is that good?
Thank you very much. That means I understand from Dr. Macharia that there is no special signage or there is no special symbol which an original manufacturer on the label has to assign after joining the PRO, a credible PRO. I think KEBS SM mark quality is good enough because they will correlate the data from the KEBS initially as starters. I understand very clearly. Thank you, Dr. Macharia. Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you, Dr. Shroff. Thank you, Dr. Shroff. Evelyn?
You're welcome.
Yes. So my question was, Joyce, my question was on the counterfeits. I was just wondering how the organization is going to deal with the issues of counterfeits, where we have some of our packaging materials being, mopped out of the market by, illegal dealers. They pack their stuff and then they put them out there in the shelves. I'm just wondering aloud how then Pakpro, Nema, and the rest are going to deal with the industry or work with the industry collaboratively, because I know there is the multi-agency teams who are, trying to do their game as well, but it's not been successful still. So because of the packaging that will be out there, and then you're actually you're charged against your brand that is out there, which then others are also using. So I'm wondering how then they will be able to deal with that.
Yeah, thanks, Evelyn. I know it's an ongoing conversation we've been having. I know with the ABAC team and yourselves. It's very tricky. However, for us, from where we see it, we are advocating for every manufacturer who's using a certain packaging material. So in your case, let's say talk about glass more specifically, should be a member of a PRO. I know that is different from maybe what happens within ABAC, but for us, every single entity should be a member of a PRO, so that at the first instance, we are able first to determine the volumes that are being produced. We have also raised this issue with, of course, Nema, with KEBS, around how do we monitor glass, for instance, that is, as you've rightly said, being put in the market nearly twice or thrice in some instances, because people are, for instance, taking your bottle, they refill it with a different product, and then it's almost like everyone thinks it's your product, but not the other people's, hence the counterfeit issue. I do believe this has to be done at a multi-stakeholder level. Of course, with you guys having the lenses to tell us, because I believe you know which particular products within your segments and your categories are actually being counterfeited more than others. Of course, where there's probably returnable packaging, we expect that the counterfeiting is less. Again, in certain consumer levels, we expect the counterfeiting is more. And so I would say we would deploy some pilot projects to, at first instance, see how we can be able to tackle the issue jointly. But there's definitely a lot of cross-sharing of data that will be required, and definitely a pilot project to determine what is the best system to deploy. So right now, there's no answer we have. I know we've had a lot of discussions. I do believe we have to get to the ground and test a pilot to see what system can we actually deploy that would work.
Okay, thank you, Joyce. I think once we are part of you, then we can have internal conversations and see how we can approach the whole thing.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Excellent. Excellent evening. Francis?
Yes, good evening. I just wanted to ask now, apart from now joining the PRO, is there any other requirement Nema will require from us, or it will just be an evidence that we are members of the PRO and now the rest will be handled by the PRO, which is Pakpro? Number two, the rest of the charges, are they regulated, or each PRO decides on what amount to charge? That is question number two. And then lastly, this declaration, I heard from Nema, they were saying that the government runs June to June, and now we are in September. So in case now you're joining now in September, are we, because now we can only declare what has been released into the market. So will it mean we will declare from June to date so that the volumes can be quantified? And then there is now the annual, and then there is now the, I don't know now, Pakpro will clarify the monthly one. Do you do it upfront or before? So those are the three questions I have.
Okay, Daktari, I'll allow you to take the other questions, then I'll respond to the EPR fees one after you.
Thank you, Joyce. Once a producer has joined a PRO and there is that evidence, then there are no other requirements from Nema, because the PRO will report on the other items. However, the producer still bears the ultimate responsibility on the products that are there in their products, and they should not be seen in the environment. So I see you have a role that you are required to do to make sure that the PRO is working. For instance, like now I've just told you that I have come from the river. And when you look at the river, the products that are blocking our waterways are your products. They have your label. So what is Nema supposed to do? Definitely, if we are going to frame a case, in which I had already told Joyce that we are in the process of opening a case file for those with products in the river. You can be jointly charged together with the PRO, because the obligation is yours. It is not. It doesn't belong to the PRO. The PRO is just assisting you to execute, so that you work within the economies of scale. So you have a role to play to make sure that Joyce is working. If Joyce is not delivering, you have the right to hire and fire to make sure that your products are not seen in the environment. So that is, I think that is something that you need to keep a keen eye on, because Nema will still be following you, because the label is yours. It is not your PRO's label, and so you can be conjoined in the charges. And now, About the fees, are they regulated by the government? No. It is you who will do the costing and then arrive at figures. And we hope that in your meetings, in your general meetings, you'll be able to be taken through by the PRO how they have arrived at the fees. This includes even the registration fee, the subscription fee. I don't think it is, they are supposed to be set by Joyce. They are supposed to be set by you guys. So please take charge of your company. You are shareholders in the company. About the reporting, of course, there is an area that it is you to report. Of course, if you have been in business since July last year and June 2023, you are supposed to report on those volumes because you press them in the market. You may not have managed to remove 100% of those products from the environment, but just declare. Declaring it is in your books. About what you have done, I think there we will perfect later. So we are not penalizing you for having not removed items from the environment. Only that from now on, based on our second communication, we will be charging those who are interfering with our water bodies. We have started with the water bodies first, because that is, I think the river gives us good evidence that you are not managing your items upstream. And that is the reason why the government doesn't want anybody to touch the river. The rivers belong to the government. I think that is what I can say for now. Thank you.
Yes, and then let me add, Francis, on the question you asked about EPR fees. First, Daktari has rightly said we actually do not set the fees for EPR fees. Members are the ones to agree. What we do is we prefer a guideline to you, and that guideline we have developed it by assessing the market. We also share with our members and would-be members the criteria we use for that guideline of fees. So it's usually based off the net cost of recovery, the recyclability of that material, is it recoverable, etc. So many other factors. But we merely suggest what the fee should look like. We will be having an annual general meeting on 13th October for our membership, where they will then be approving or changing or amending those fees. However, anyone who joins us after that will have to comply with what the membership at that time will have agreed. Okay. When do you pay the EPR fees? You will, for instance, in the month of, let's say, January, you will have closed your books. For some of you, it's maybe by the 5th, others by the 15th of that month. You then make a declaration to us based on the volumes you've consumed maybe for the month of January. We then proceed to issue you an invoice. So that would be in February when we are issuing you an invoice for January. So for us, we'd rather work with what you have consumed and not typically forecasted volumes. However, for some entities, they are more comfortable working with forecasted volumes, and then we issue credit notes, or then we work on a different way of invoicing after that. So it depends on you. And as you become a member, those are some of the things that we are discussing between the two of us. So Francis, I hope that's okay.
Yes, okay. That for the monthly is okay, because we're doing it when we are closing the books by whichever the date of the month, end of the month, 5th or 2nd or whatever. Now the one for the year, because I've seen the actuary saying because now in the market last year, July to June, now and of course some of us had not joined by then. So now we are in September, and we now maybe want to join in September.
Yes.
So
Yes.
for the month, for the year, for the annual, are we going still to cover that July to June, July 2022 to June 2023, or what happens between now up to September? So which period are we going to declare for the year? That is where I think.
Yeah. Daktari, I'd like you to respond to that. It's a question
Yes.
a lot of members ask, so maybe just so that everyone is on the same page.
I think reporting is happening at two levels. Number one is you are reporting to Nema for the year, but maybe you are not a member of a PRO, so you will indicate. You know, we have given you an open check for you to report. So for your volumes, you report for the year. But now, when you go to the PRO, when you are reporting to the PRO, then of course there you will report based on when did you join. Okay, so that the PRO is more forward looking, while Nema is more backward looking. That's the way I see it. Thank you.
Okay, now for Nema, okay, I heard, is it, it will be online or physical?
Yes, both.
Both
online
and physical.
You can email, because we have given you an email. You will download. But also, once you have done your reporting, please also ensure that you have gotten the acknowledgement. And also, we are about to start our portal online, where we will report on who has reported and which PRO do you belong to. As we wait for the PROs to give us further information, especially on the compensation. The compensation, we want that data to be made public, because we want to ensure that in this country we have fair payment for service rendered, especially under the EPL system. Thank you.
Thank you, Daktari. Thank you, Francis. Martins, I'll allow you, then Grace.
Okay, thank you, Joyce. I wanted to ask Daktari, just to follow up on what is answered on the payment or declaration of the volumes. Now, I wanted to know if we are going to declare the volume from 2 to June 2023, then will we be required to make compensation, the service compensation fee for that previous year? And if that's the case, would that mean that we are backdating the implementation of this law from this year to last year? That is one. Two, there is somewhere I said that they are going to publicize the volumes. One of the details that they will publicize included the volumes that are that we put out in the market. Now, I wanted to ask this, maybe directed to you, Joyce, regarding the fee, because at some point, the fee may be directly proportional to the volumes. Is that fee, compensation fee, going to be directly proportional to the volume output? Because that would mean that I can do back calculation to find the total volume in that sense. Then three would be take back percentage, still to you, Joyce, that at some point, an organization may be producing, like, let's say, output of a volume of 2,000, but then the collection is 2,000 metric tons in a year, but then the collection is around 10 or 20%, let's say, because some of these products, some of these packaging materials, for example, HDPE, you will find that some of the consumers use them for a long time, so that at the end of the day, it will take so much time before it is released into the environment. So do we pay for what we have produced in terms of volumes, or do we pay for what has been collected by the PRO? Thank you.
Okay. Allow me to answer. Let me start, Martins, first with the last question you've asked. So you're required to pay us for what you've put into the market, not what we've collected. And this is why we are very we're insistent on the fact that, and Dr. Ayub Macharia has actually stated this, that producers should not abdicate their involvement within a PRO, because it is within a PRO that you set the targets, and we agree with government that this is how much we want to recover from the market. So in a situation where you've put out 2,000 metric tons, and then we are only telling you it's 10 to 20% that we are recovering, you need to be able to ask why. So if the reason is not lack of recycling capacity being adequate, the component and the issue element of reuse is a critical one, because there are some products, as you rightly said, like HDPE and other rigid plastics, that are retained by consumers for longer periods of time. However, the reality is they still get out into the environment. And so I think when we are setting a target for recycling within that particular sector, those are the factors that we would consider. However, you'll find that where recyclability, wherever the reuse component is usually very high, we have found, and this is globally as well, that the recyclability is also very high. So it's very rare that we will have HDPE, for instance, lying around in the dump site and it's not being recovered. Okay. So I think in that situation, the onus would be upon Nema to determine that this material is not actually lying in the environment. And then now we need to be able to determine how do we factor in for the reuse component. However, I wouldn't say that an element that is highly reusable and highly recyclable would have very low recycling targets. It doesn't work that way. It hasn't worked that way anywhere in the world. Okay. But I've also insisted that you pay for what you put in the market and not what we are collecting. Okay, which means you pay for 100% what you put within the Kenyan market, and then what we collect is is based on a target setting exercise that we would be doing. Then for the EPR volumes, the EPR fees that you'll be paying, you've mentioned that it's 1-to-1, which means maybe we are charging you 3 shillings and the cost in the market maybe for recovering is 3 shillings. Okay. So you're wondering what happens and how would that work? So the reality is, as you rightly said, 100% of the volume and in no jurisdiction to date has been recycled. Okay. As you said, some is retained by consumers. There's some that will be leaked. There's some that will leave the country in other ways that we do not know. And so we are not actually, and I don't want to say it this way, but I'm going to say it, that we are going to recover 100% of your volume. That would be the optimum, but the reality is it's not what happens, and it doesn't happen anywhere. However, that is definitely the target. And so when we do a 1-to-1, your EPR fees and how much is being put into the market, within our model, we've already determined that 77% of the EPR fees, actually about 81, not even 77, 81% of the amount of money you pay as EPR fees goes into collection and recycling, as well as providing support to collectors. Could be through PPEs, could be through equipment, etc. Okay, only about 12% goes into direct project monitoring admin costs. Yeah. And then, of course, we have another percentage, about 2%, that we have allocated to EPR compliance. This is where we are doing joint surveillance with Nema. It's where we are doing our reporting, our data gathering, providing your reports to Nema on what has been done, what has been performed. And so ideally, the 1-to-1 looks almost impossible from a mathematical standpoint when you're looking at it from a linear angle. However, we've actually demonstrated that it is possible, especially in a situation in a mandatory environment like the one we are getting into right now. Okay. So Martins, I hope that answers your questions.
Okay, just to clarify, now the data that Nema will be putting up will only indicate the compensation for the collection, not the amount that is paid to the PRO, the total
Yes.
amount.
That is how we've understood it as well. It's how much we are compensating for the recovery of these materials. Because the key objective from our understanding, and Dr. Ayub can correct me if I'm wrong, is that they want to ensure that our collectors are getting fair price for what they are recovering, so that no one is being taken advantage of.
Fair enough. Okay. Thank
Yes.
Joyce, I wanted to comment.
Yes, please.
That there was this issue of that you have reported to Nema from July to June, but from the PRO, it's from when you joined. Yes, that is true. However, I think you need to understand that being the beginning of implementing EPR, when the people know, and we know the rate of unemployment in this country, you may need to allocate more money for collection and compensation, because you may receive more than what you have paid for that year. And so kind of this money for last year that you have reported to NEMA, you need, although you don't pay the PRO, but the PRO may need some time to come together if they happen to have finished the money because of initial high collection that we may experience when we start the scheme. So kind of backdating the payment, I could comment that it is either yes or yes and no, because your costs, your initial costs may be high, considering that there's a lot of your material for last year, which is still in the environment. And we have already issued you a notice that we will not allow it to lie in the environment. It needs to be collected and properly disposed. However, you may have a saving in the sense that for now, you see, we are implementing this section when the law, the regulation is not in place. And so our main focus for now is on pollution, not your materials not to pollute the environment. And so issues to do with recycling for now may not be a major issue. And so you have the leeway to use the easy methods. The easy methods are like pick your material and take it to the landfill for now. But when the regulation is out, there may be other requirements like recycle this much. So please note that the key item now is your material should not be in the environment. And so the current emphasis is collection and disposing in the easiest way possible, but not burning. Burning is not allowed. Burning in the open is not allowed. Now, for compensation fee, I would comment that we want it public. And here, I suspect that you engage your, let me call them engineers, your statistical guys, the very high level moderation here, because you have to understand your material flow. Like now, if you say you're going to give the waste picker 10 shillings or 13 shillings, for example, for maybe HDPE, of course, we know that there is also that demand in the market. How does the scenario look like? Right now, the payment is maybe 30 shillings. Are you going to pay 30? So I think there is some considerations that need to be done there, so that if you pay the collector this much, then what will the aggregator take when they submit those materials to your trucks that are passing through there? Do they give the trucks for free because it has already been paid for? You have already paid the collector, and the owner of this collection point, how much will he get? So of course, you really need to think hard on that area. The area of compensation is not as easy as it is being said, because it is the one that will encourage movement of material forward. Okay. I think that is all that I wanted to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I know.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Dr. I know we are running out of time. Allow me to just give some extra
Joyce,
5-10 minutes.
Just,
Yes, Martins.
just to follow up on Dr. Macharia, when he says that we are going to backdate this reporting to 2022 July this year, and he wants us to report on the volume, then does it mean that that must also correspond with the compensation? And if that is the case, then it means that we are going to compensate for the collection of previous years' volumes in the market while the law was not in place. So we are backdating the law. I want him to at least come clear on that.
Okay,
valid. Well, the law is from July last year. You are expected to have been implementing the law since last year. What I said was, because you are not a member of a PRO, you may, and the PRO is yours, you can decide on whether to backdate or not to backdate. But from the NEMA side, the law became effective. You have had the law for more than 1 year now. So we could have demanded for backdating, but we are not doing that because we are not in control of the PRO. And that is why reporting to NEMA is in the past, it is yesterday, but reporting to the PRO is based on when you start. When you start, then there you have the leeway. But for NEMA, it is up from last year. Thank you.
Dr. Macharia,
can I ask a question? Follow up?
It is about, because reporting is going to go through the PRO, does it mean that when the PRO reports to NEMA, then it needs to also indicate a corresponding compensation for the previous year? That is the question.
No, compensation that we are talking about is per kilogram of this material. How much do you pay? It is not the collective. It is not those millions that we are using. Okay, so it is 1 kilogram of HDPE. If somebody brings to a collection point, you'll be paid this much. Or LDPE, or diaper. Diaper may not be in kilograms because they are wet. Maybe it is 1 diaper is 50 cents, for example. That is the information that we need. So that compensation is per item or per kilogram, per volume of items. So you need to decide there. So what I was saying is that for NEMA reporting, please report for last year. But when the PRO is reporting to NEMA, they will report on the volumes for last year, but you have just started working with the PRO. So I don't expect them to charge you for last year. They only charge you in case their costs are high because of the Nema demand for removal of your items from the rivers. So there the cost may go up, and so you may need this year to have many special meetings to look at how you are doing financially because of this new requirement for making sure that your products are not in the environment. That is what I meant.
That's clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yeah, that's clear. So Grace, I'll give you a chance, then Victor, then Evelyn. Grace? Grace, are you there? We can't hear you, Grace. Victor, you want to go ahead while we wait for Grace?
Yes, please. Yeah, just this question might have been asked in a different format, and I know we had this conversation on the side, but say, for example, company X produces some final products in the country, but sells to company Y, which puts or delivers the products to the retailers or the consumers, who then should pay for the EPR fees. And further to that question, please clarify if the EPR fee should be based on the sales volumes and not the production volumes. Thank you.
Apologies, I was on mute. Doctor, you want to answer that? Then I can add.
No, that is yours, the PRO.
So, Victor, the company that puts the product in the market is the one we are charging EPR fees. Okay, is the one we are charging EPR fees, not the one that they've done some intertrade etc. Also because the assumption is either they are a converter and they are a member, or within a business, you can have businesses, for instance, where they are trading internally, okay, which means product is moving on the books, yeah. But whoever's entity puts the product in the market, that is who we charge EPR fees, okay? Victor?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you, Jess.
You're welcome. Evelyn?
Yes, so my question was on the law. The EPR regulation has not yet been signed into law, unless I'm wrong. And I was wondering now, why is Nema deciding to have it implemented at this moment, yet it is not yet a law? Or can't we wait for the law to come into play? Or for the regulation, so to speak, to come into play?
Thank you. That's a good question.
Daktari, while you're answering that,
Yes.
Kilan Shah had also added that he thinks Nema should be considerate and not be so hard and fast. He's also asked what sensitization programs did Nema carry out with regards to this. So you can answer those two together.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now, why not wait for the EPR regulations? We are not waiting because the act is active. It is active, and what the regulations would have given us is more modalities on the whole picture, especially upstream interventions and midstream and also downstream. So what we have done is that since the law is active, we have picked on those items that we can implement without the regulation. And we have picked on downstream interventions. And downstream interventions are those involved in waste management. Midstream are those involved in product designs. And upstream are those that are involved with the raw materials that make your products. So we have not touched on components involving the upstream and midstream. We have only involved downstream, and in downstream, we have also selected a few items. We have only focused on your volumes and how the systems that you have put in place to make sure that you don't pollute the environment. So you can see our request is very basic requirements. If the regulation is in place, like downstream, we could have asked you to also do research, also invest in ensuring there are markets for the secondary products that you generate from your recycled products. Those are the items that we have not asked you to do now because the regulation is in place. Why we are focusing on downstream is because Section 13.1 also says that you use the mandatory EPR scheme obligations, you are subject to those obligations to make sure that you don't pollute the environment. And that is why we are saying that you should not pollute the environment. So our implementation of EPR in Kenya, we are not focusing so much on how much you have recycled. We are focusing more on making sure your product or packaging does not pollute the environment. And that is implementable within the Act as it is. But when the regulation will come in, you'll be given more conditions beyond what we have given you now. So let's take advantage of the new requirement so that we start putting our house in order, even as we wait for the regulations. Have we done sensitization? Yes. The good thing is that we have been developing the EPR regulations together, and we have held very many meetings with you, telling you that there is an act and you need to work this way. We have negotiated with you on how to work within the EPR framework, and we have always expected you to implement, to comply. So what we are asking you now to do is report on how you have been complying. And like I said, we have just asked you for the basics. The detailed aspects will be in the regulations. Also to comment that this is not the first time that Kenya is implementing EPR. We have had voluntary schemes. Even without the act, we had voluntary schemes that were run by PETCO, another one that was run by Pakpro, and they were very successful. And so we are building on our pilots that we did with the two voluntary schemes, now building on the mandatory requirement as per Section 13 of the Act. Thank you.
Thank you, Daktari. I do want to just ask, and maybe for you to clarify, there's Killan is asking, can someone clarify if the law is active or it's still under consideration? He says that it's confusing because there are some people who are telling him that it is not yet active.
Well, according to our lawyers, the Nema lawyers, and the ministry lawyers, the law is active.
Excellent. And I think also, Daktari, for purposes of this engagement, is the law only focusing on packaging material or is it covering all products?
It is covering all producers. That means all
Okay.
products. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So Lucy Mwariri, the last question. Lucy? Lucy, we can't hear you. Do I cede the ground to Evelyn? Evelyn, do you have a question? Or is that a legacy hand?
No, that's a legacy hand.
Okay, thank you. Lucy, we can't hear you. So allow me at this point to first thank you. We want to thank Dr. Ayub, thank you so much for providing your time and input. A lot of the questions you've asked will actually help a lot of people who didn't attend this particular session, who will be sharing the recording with. For the companies that are here, we do urge you to pass this along, share it word of mouth, as well as within your own organization, socialize this conversation. As Dr. has said, EPR is active in the country. It's mandatory and it's active. And as a PRO, we are here to help. Due to time, we weren't able to really talk about ourselves, but we know we've had a lot of engagements with you. We will be sharing our documents just so that you can then reference. If you have any questions, kindly reach out to us. Our details are there. You can give us a call, email, or WhatsApp, etc. Any additional questions after this, you can shoot us an email or send us on our WhatsApp group. We'll be able to respond. And for where we are not able to, where we need additional clarity, we'll be able to forward the same to Nema and revert to you. So thank you very much for your participation, and we look forward to other engagements.